Welcome to Shanghai. It was back in the time of Mao Zedong that this country realized its overpopulation problem. And the one-child policy was introduced to limit this population growth. Once this policy was abolished, this country noticed exponential population growth, and now it's valued at 1.3 billion people. The high population densities in these cities, Shanghai is valued at 3,800 people per kilometer square, creates many negative externalities such as congestion, air pollution, and noise pollution. Yet the Chinese government has overcome many of these problems quite effectively by providing low-wage jobs for many of the unskilled workforce. This reduces the risk of high unemployment rate to an unemployment rate of only 4.1%, which is astonishing for such a large nation. Furthermore, China benefits from the cheap labor by exporting many of its goods and has become the largest exporting nation in the world. Also, by having large farming provinces throughout the country, it benefits food production output. 10% of its 10.3 trillion GDP is agricultural. Lastly, the government offers much of its income in wage benefits for the unemployed people of its nation, and it's set at equal to the minimum wage, which shows the government's efforts at tackling the overpopulation problem.
Overpopulation has diverse negative externalities, one of them being pollution. In fact, only 1% of the people in China breathe what is considered to be safe air. China has nuclear winters in which PM 2.5 reaches a 505 range, even 1,000 in some cases, the safe level for humans being 25. Pollution causes diseases to third parties, and the expenses to cure the diseases have to be paid by the government. Beijing alone suffered over 2,500 deaths because of the air pollution, and the city alone lost estimated $328 million to healthcare. A negative externality occurs when an individual or firm making a decision does not have to pay the full burden. If a good has a negative externality, then the cost to society is greater than the cost of consumer paying for it. When a negative externality exists in an unregulated market, producers don't take responsibility for external costs that exist. These are passed on to society. Thus, producers have to lower marginal costs that they would otherwise have on the supply curve, effectively shifted down to the right of the supply curve that society faces. And now, what is the government doing to solve the problem? The government has introduced cheap public transport that reduces the use of private travel, meaning that less pollution is emitted. What else could they do? They could tax polluting firms or introduce pollution permits, like in some places in Europe, or subsidize eco-friendly firms to encourage them to produce a bigger scale.
Even though you might think that China's communist-style system would ensure an even distribution of wealth, this is not the case. Because in fact, the current Chinese economy has massive income inequality, from the rural workers on the countryside to the billionaires in Shanghai. Industrialization and improvements in technology over the last decade has allowed many startups within the cities. The rapid economic growth in some areas, like Shanghai, meant that uneven income distribution was inevitable. Special enterprise zones allowed foreign businesses to set up efficiently and quickly. In recent years, as China still experiences growth, income inequality became one of the biggest threats to sustainable development. So, what is the government doing to fix this? The government has adopted a progressive tax system, where the high income earners pay a larger percentage of income tax compared to the workers earning the minimum wage. This is a form of transfer payments, as wealth is distributed from the rich to the vulnerable groups, like the low income earners. This money is then redistributed through pension funding, unemployment benefits, and educational projects. However, this isn't necessarily efficient, as the poor groups depend on the rich. They have also raised the minimum wage to prevent foreign firms and local managers exploiting the cheap labor, leading to a more sustainable solution. Even the lowest income earners have an improvement in the standard of living.